Okay guys, so in this video we are going to have a look at more daily Git commands, so let's get into it. So in the previous video we talked a little bit about the common stuff, creating a repository, pushing, pulling, merging, a little bit of Git flow and like feature branches and stuff like that. I mean, of course there's more to Git flow than just feature branches, but for most people this will be enough. And now we're going to have a look at git ignore files, merge conflicts, resets, and hooks. So let's get back to that board of ours. So here we can now see that we have two new stories, and I'm just going to pick up the first one, which states that, okay, you should create a JS function that returns 1. Okay, seems straightforward enough, right? So let's do that. Let's create a main.js file, and then we're gonna do something like, I don't know. Can I get that? Thank you. My autocomplete wasn't working. Ta-da, we've just done it, right? And now when we're kind of almost finished, of course, one of our stakeholders comes in and says, hey, you know what, Frederick, we're not ready to just yet with that story. So I know it's in the backlog, but you should probably not continue on that. Just, can you just undo your stuff? And like, let's just wait for now. And then I go, okay, fine, I will pull that back there, and then I will take a look at my status here. And we'll see here that, alright, so basically I have an untracked file called main.js, and, well, I just want to remove that. So this is where a reset can be very useful. So now, of course, I have a very trivial example here with just one file. I could just as easily just have done something like, alright, just remove it. I can also do git clean, which is just going to, like, if we take a clean, just clean with an N. This is just, git clean is just a command for you to remove untracked files that aren't part of the repository or something like that. So I can do this as well. And I can do git clean F. You need to force this in order for this to actually work. And if you have an untracked file such as the main.js file now, it's actually going to be gone. But this is not really a reset. So if I do something like, let's say for the sake of argument that I'm gonna ignore my stakeholder because I know that because they were out partying yesterday, they're gonna come back with another set of requirements today because they're flaky as fuck. That's how it is to work with different stakeholders. So I'm just gonna create this function anyway. I'm gonna say git commit added one func like so. No, I need to add it first. Git add, and let's do that. So here we are. I've just created a commit and I've added that function in my commit. And now that I did this naughty thing, my stakeholder comes in and says, "Hey Fred, what you do? Like, I'm serious. Like, you shouldn't add that. You need to undo this somehow." And sure, I can technically just create another commit. I can do a revert if I wanted to. I can do a git revert, and then I can say, oh, sorry, I need to have the commit ID of that. So revert is basically just me saying that, okay, this commit here, revert, this, I want to undo all the stuff that I did in this commit. So I created a commit, and a revert does this very nice thing where it creates a new commit. So if we look here, we can see here that I had this commit here where I added the one func, and then I created another commit where I undid the thing that I did in this commit, and that is what a revert is. But some people claim that this kind of pollutes like a revert is. I mean, a revert is always going to be a very safe thing to do because reverting something is, you don't lose any traceability and you still have all the information, but maybe this isn't what I want. I haven't pushed this to a remote branch or anything like that just yet, so I'm pretty safe. So I could just do a hard reset instead, where I basically just rewrite the history tree here, or the history, and put it back to origin master, as you can see here in the outline. So this is my local changes. This is where I am. So I'm 2 commits ahead of origin master, and origin is, as we know, my GitHub, the GitHub repository I created in the previous video, and that branch is here. So I just want to go back to that state. So I'm going to grab the commit ID of the thing that's in the remote repository, and then I'm going to do git reset, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to say hard, which means that hard is just me removing, like if I don't do it with git reset, it's still gonna work, but hard is just any residue, like just completely reset it back. So now I'm back to like this actual, like this commit ID. So if we have a look here, you'll see here that I'm now actually on the same branch. So my local master branch is at the same stage as the remote branch. So that's a nice trick for you. Like if ever in doubt, if you did something and you don't want to undo all the things and you don't want to keep any of your changes, just do git reset hard. And you be careful though, because this basically deletes everything up until a certain up to a certain commit. So now that we of course did this, our stakeholders come in again and they say, hey, you know what, we want to continue on this story. The thing that we missed is that we want you to add some unit tests to this function. So create a function that returns 1 and add some unit tests. And I go, sure, let's do that. And because I was just demoing now, we can see here that I shouldn't really be doing this on master, so I'm just going to create another branch because we're doing it with feature branches. GD23 was it, right? And let's call that 1. And then we're gonna do something like npm i-y because we want to install all the things, and there we are. And let's remove that. Sorry, not I, init, of course. And so now we have a package JSON because what we want is to install Jest. Because we're going to do some unit testing. Save -dev exact, because we're exact about things. And while that's running there, I'm just going to do a main.js and QME, and we're going to return that 1 in our nice little function there. And then we're going to create a file, test.js, and we're going to require return 1. And we're going to grab that from the main file. And then we're going to make a describe block like so, and we're going to say return 1 test like so. And then we are going to hopefully autocomplete on something. Come on, yeah, there we are. So it should return 1, yes. Expect return 1 should return, or should be equal to 1. Nice. And here we can see that now it's finished up the installation. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff here. We'll like just let's gloss over that because that actually destroys my point. But anywho, npx jest, let's do that. And now we're gonna run our tests. Boom. Should be equal. And still expect it's not a function. Expect return 1 to equal. Is it 2 equal? I can never remember that. Yes, there we are. 2 equal. Nice. Cool. So we basically have our unit test and we have our function and all that good stuff, and everybody's super happy because we basically created all the things we need for this story, right? But now we need to commit this, and something happened now that isn't all that great. It says that I have 5,000 changes, but I haven't touched any of these files. But if we look at the directory here, we can see that this has happened, like node modules bin, node modules bin, node modules at Babel something something, node modules bin watch, like there's a bunch of files. So what's happened here is that if we look at git status, we have actually added all like these files, like main.js I added, I also added the test file. The package.json file was added because I ran the npm init command, and the lock file was also added through npm. But node modules was also added when I installed Jest. Now, I don't want to commit my node modules to my GitHub repository because it's a massive super folder of tons and tons of files, and I don't really need it. There are some people who will claim otherwise, but for most people, you don't actually need it. Sometimes you do. So if I just refresh this little folder here, you see here that this folder is there. So what I want to do now is that I want to create a git ignore file, and that's going to be .git ignore. So what the git ignore file allows me to do is just say to Git that there are some files or folders and stuff like that that I just don't want to add to my version control. And doing something like this will hopefully solve that problem for me. So now you'll see here that I have this git ignore file. Git ignore. So now that I've added my git ignore, hopefully that's gonna, yeah. So now Visual Studio Code here picked up that I actually have a git ignore file, and in that git ignore file I have said that, okay, the node modules directory, just ignore that. I don't want that to be added. So now this is not actually going to be part of my commit, which is very nice because there's so much in it, right? And then we can go through my commits. I've added a function. Okay, I don't care so much about this stuff because, hey, this is just, well, we don't really care about that stuff. And here is my test. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna say, let's add that in there. Added one func. Nice. And then we're gonna do, oh well, I can't do git sync. We're going to do push, and then we're going to copy paste this, and then we are going to push that. Nice and easy. And did I actually remove that? Yes. Let's say git demo. Do I still have that? Yeah, yes, I do. Nice. All right. Let's create a new pull request. Here we have my new fancy shiny feature branch. We're going to create a pull request. GD23 or not 32, 2023. Added one func, and we're going to create that pull request right there. Nice. So that's ready to be merged, but I don't want that. And then I'm of course going to always make sure that I read through my own changes, because the worst thing in the world is when you just push something and then you forget the console log somewhere, or you don't check things out, and all of a sudden the poor bastard who needs to review your shitty code gets frustrated because you added a print line statement that said something inappropriate. Anywho, all of this seems to be fairly in line with what we want, so I'm just gonna say, all right, let's put that there, and then let's start on the next thing. Because one of my lazy coworkers who are very busy are probably at some point going to have time to actually do some code reviewing. That usually takes a day or two, depending on who you work with. And so in the meantime, we're going to look at another thing. So let's have a look at master. Let's pull master, just because we are always going to pull master first, because it's a good idea to pull master. Git log. Oh shit, there's a ton of stuff here. Yes, because we don't have the git ignore file in master. That is a bit of a shame, really. Yes, that is a problem. You know what? Let's actually cheat a little bit here, because it's just a big hassle otherwise. Let's actually create a git ignore file like so. Like so. Don't tell anybody I did this because it's super bad. You shouldn't do this, but I'm doing it anyway. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. Git push. Haha. That's not going to cause a problem or anything. Anywho, let's start looking at the next thing. Let's say Git Checkout Branch. What was that ID number again? GD24. So we're going to do GD24 2. Let's do that. So now update the JS function to return 2 instead. Okay, that's going to be a bit of a problem because I haven't gotten this merged yet. So how is that going to work? That's bad because I need this stuff here in order for this stuff here to make sense. Okay, all right. What can I do? Well, okay. Let's just go back. Let's go back to master. Let's go back to something that feels safe, and let's also remove this branch. -d GD24 to delete the branch. As you can see here now, I have a bunch of branches here, and I just created the branch. I removed the branch that I don't want anymore. All right. Let's think about this. So I am right now blocked because I have a lazy coworker who is not reviewing my code the second that I'm asking for it, which they should, I hope. And I need to continue working. So what can I do? Well, what I can do is that I can check out the branch that I was working on. I can say, all right, let's have a look at this branch here. So here are all of my changes, right? But I need to review that code there first, so that needs to be reviewed now. So what I can do now is that I can check out this branch. I can base the new branch on this branch and say GD24.2. And now you'll notice that I get to keep all my files. And the reason is because I'm not branching from master. I'm actually branching off one of my feature branches. This is something that you should avoid this if it's possible, because it can get really complicated. Because now, in order for me to avoid some type of problems and conflicts and stuff like that, it's important that I merge in the right order. So basically, in order for me to be sure that this branch isn't broken or anything like that, any change that happens in my feature branch, I now need to merge and update in this branch as well. So I can't just merge into master, because if I merge directly into master, there's going to be a conflict. And that's kind of what I'm trying to build up to here. But, you know, this is just me warning you. But let's keep on track here. So let's change this to return 2. And return 1 should not return 1, it should return 2. And it should return 2 like so. And it should return 2 like so. And we can run just to run our sanity check and make sure that, oh yes, everything works absolutely. Nice. And if we go and have a look at these files, we can see here that, wow, amazing, right? We are so productive. The company is so lucky to have us as employees. So func2 change. Well, I changed to func2. Something like that. That's very descriptive and very. That's not going to come back and bite me in the ass later, because, you know, you just don't have the energy today to make really nice commit messages. This is one of those things that you shouldn't do what I'm doing. You should, you know, just do what I preach, don't do as I do. And I try to preach having good commit messages, even though I'm kind of bad at it at times. So now we have another feature branch. Now, what's interesting here is that if we go back to our pull requests here, new pull requests, we can say that here is my new pull request, and I can say that, okay, so here I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I want to merge this branch into master. Now I can do this if I wanted to, but the problem is that if I do, that's going to cause a really big conflict between my branch and the branch, the GD23 branch, which is the previous branch. Now, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is that I want to avoid this conflict, this merge conflict, if at all possible. So I'm going to do something like GD, like this. I'm going to change from merging my branch into master to merging my branch into this other story branch. So we're going to create a pull request for that. 23, oh, 24. Let's create a pull request. So now I've created a different pull request. So my pull request now is basically stating that I'm not going to merge to master. I'm going to merge into my other feature branch, because basically I need to unblock myself so I can work on continuing on the feature on this branch in this branch without having to wait for it. And these are the changes now. So if I were to say something like, let's say that I edited this, and let's say that I actually changed this back to master. Change base. You will notice something, and you will notice that I have more file changes now. You'll see here that now I have the same changes that I had in the previous branch, the GD23 branch, because master doesn't know anything about all of these files. So in order for me, because if I merge this now, then the GD23 branch is going to have a bunch of conflicts, because I basically wrote the same thing as they did in that branch, but I changed some stuff as well. So I don't want to do that. I want to keep this clean and nice, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to say GD23.1, so I'm going to keep that merge here. So the rule of thumb here now is that in order for me to deliver all of this, I need to make sure that my coworkers know that, all right, you need to review both of these branches, and then I just need to make sure that I merge the GD23 branch first into master, so that I can merge this one after into master, or I can also say that I need to merge this branch into the GD23 branch before the GD23 branch goes into master. It's super confusing, and that's why you shouldn't be doing this, but I can promise you that this sort of thing is going to happen on, well, hopefully not on a daily basis, but on a fairly regular basis. So now let's move that to ready for code review. Now let's, for the sake of argument, say that, oh, we have reviewed all of this nice code here, and we have seen that it's absolutely lovely. Let's have a look here. Let's go to GD23 and we'll say here that, oh yeah, it all looks good. Oh, it looks so good. Whoever did this is absolutely amazing. Let's just click confirm merge on that one. I don't even have to check anything else. And now this is merged into master, which is great. So if we now go to my terminal here and I check out master and I pull the latest changes, you will see that indeed we actually have all of these nice features here. You see here that we return back to return 1, because this is the feature that we have added, right? So now that we have this, I want to go back to this branch here, and I want to change that branch as well. Because now I've already merged this, so sure, I can merge it into this branch here, but then I have to re-merge and stuff like that. So no, actually, let's just change this to master again, because now you will notice something, and what you will notice is that all those extra changes I had earlier, they're no longer here, because there's the diff between master is now master is equal to GD23. So that's why you only see the changes that we saw in the comparison between GD24 and GD23. And that's pretty much it, really. So we can merge this as well. And when we merge that, we're going to get all of the nice changes so nicely put into our master branch, git pull master. And here we see that, yeah, now we have returned 2. And that's pretty much, a very simple way to avoid getting blocked when you're working, and at the same time avoiding to have merge conflicts and stuff like that. Argument that I want to create a merge conflict just to show you how to kind of resolve that. So let's say that I do something like return. Let's make a feature branch actually. Let's do GCO branch test. Let's just make a test branch. And in this test branch, I will say return foobar. And I'm going to commit that. I'm just going to say test. And then I'm going to go to master. And I'm going to, here in master, I'm also going to make a change. I'm going to say something like, return. Actually, I noticed that the casing is wrong here, so we can just use the casing. Let's do that. Return to test. Start this or git diff, like so we can see that it changed. And I'm just gonna do a classic old hotfix. This never comes back and bites you in the ass. Just just remember that. So that's it, right? So now I can also go and I can say gco. I get my test branch here, and I can say git merge test. Conflict, boom. What just happened? Well, what just happened was that when I've created the test branch, I created that based on master. And then I created a commit that changed the same line as I then changed in master. So I created two sources of truth. I modified the same lines within the code, even though master, I basically updated master, and the snapshot that I had on my new branch, in the test branch, was now out of sync with the master branch. So when I tried to merge my changes back in, there was a conflict because I have two different branches now that have changed the same lines. So now Git doesn't know what to do. Which one do I want? So now I have to have an opinion on that. So maybe I'm gonna freak out now, maybe because this is like what all the juniors like. Usually when you have this is okay, guys. Everybody freaks out the first time they have a serious merge conflict. So they kind of go, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I need to talk to somebody. I need to figure out how can I resolve this in a nice way. Don't worry, if you did a merge or something like that and you don't want to do it, you can always do something like this, merge abort, because I don't want to deal with this. That basically is because now I don't we're back to what the state that master was in, without having to actually deal with the conflict. So now I can go to my senior coworkers or whoever was dumb enough to, well, dumb is a strong word, but whoever made this change in master, and talk to them and just try to understand, okay, what's the requirements here? Like, what should it say, right? And then when we talk about it and I actually understand what I'm supposed to be doing, then I can go back and I can actually make a merge properly. So let's do a merge. Git merge. And here's the conflict. So thanks to Visual Studio Code, I can actually accept different types of changes here and so forth, but I have to resolve this before I can commit it. So I can say, let's say that I want to, let's actually accept the current changes, because that test branch there wasn't really what I wanted. So let's call that the changes. Let's call it this. And then I can say git commit, and sorry, git add first. Git commit. And here you can see now that I have created a, well, basically, this is just Git trying to be helpful, that this merge conflict, it actually adds a little message here for the conflicts. And so now I'm just going to save that, and then I can push it, and everything is just fine. Everything is safe. Everything is good. I have fixed my code. However, something that might happen is that, let's say for the sake of argument that I make a mistake of some sort. Let's say for the sake of argument that we want to change this feature again. Now our stakeholders, they come in and they say, hey, you know what? I want you to just make sure that this, you know what? It's actually, this function shouldn't return 2, it should return 1. So change that back, and I go, oh, okay, I can make another hotfix. I don't create a story branch or anything because I'm stressed and I don't have like time for this. So I'm just gonna change this to a 1, and let's just fix that. Git status, git commit am hotfix last time for sure, because that's what it always says, right? And then I push this. And then one of my coworkers comes in and says, hey, you know what, Frederick, that was pretty bad of you. And I kind of go, what? Sorry, there was a deadline. I had to fix it quickly. Well, yeah, you fixed it, but you forgot to fix the test. And I go, no, I didn't. Okay, let's prove it. npm xgest. And then oh, shit. Okay, yeah, all right. You were right about that. So my coworker kind of goes, yeah, like it would be nice if you like made sure, like, because now we have a broken test and you need to fix it, and it's better if you create some way of making sure that you're actually always reminding yourself that if you update something, and like you should always run your unit tests before you change anything about the code. And the best way that ideally what you should do is that you should have a CI pipeline or something like that, but you can do something for yourself as well. And I, of course, go, okay, what can I do? Well, you can create a hook. And as promised, that's something we're going to talk about. So hooks, what are hooks? Let's do 3 Git hooks. So here, Git has something called sample hooks. So what you're seeing here are Git hooks, where at different stages in the process of development, or when you use Git, you can actually run a script or something like that in order to help you with certain things. Now, one of my favorite hooks is to have a pre-commit hook, so that before I commit my code, I actually have to run a script. So let's do that. Let's say code git hooks. No, that's not what I wanted, but yeah, it will work. It will work. All right, so here we have all of my hooks. Let's close down this and so forth. And we have commit message, pre-apply, pre-commit. That's the one I want. So now I've already played around with this a little bit, but I can show you what, there are tons of these different example hooks that you have here. But this one is the one I want. So you can see in the description here that the way that you convert a sample hook into an actual hook that actually runs whenever Git is running the specific command is by changing the name. So if I do this, I've changed this to just pre-commit. And you notice here that I have a shell script here. This is a shell file. So it's going to run npx just for me. So now, if I try to do some, let's say for the sake of argument that I change return 2 back to return 1, like so, and I try to do git commit, it's actually going to run just for me. So now it failed. So my commit actually failed. I can't actually commit this file without fixing my test. But I can do that. I can do that. I actually forgot to add that file. Git commit -am fixed test. So now it's going to run it again, and this time it's going to pass, and because it passes, I actually get my commit through. So you can see here that it actually pushed through my changes, but if my hook fails, it actually doesn't commit the code. And you have other hooks that you can play around with, but this pre-commit one is probably one of the most common ones that you will have, where you want to run your tests before you actually commit any code or you do anything like that. Just as a reminder, so that if you fix something and you forget about your testing or something like that, you always have this very natural reminder. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm thinking that we might have another episode of this where we go even further into a few commands that are rarer. This what you've seen so far should cover the vast majority of commands that you will use on a regular basis, but there are a few other commands that I want to show you that are a bit more advanced but also very useful. So let's have a look at those in the next video.